What's up, YouTube? So today we're going to start the process of changing out the handlebars and relocating the speedometer. So I got a little higher handlebars, some Z-bars from Harley-Davidson. Want to bring it in, raise it up, be a little bit more natural, a little more comfortable when I ride. And then as far as the speedometer relocation, I'm just going to put that here. So let's take a look at some of the equipment that we're going to be using, and then we'll go ahead and get this started. Alright, so we got our Z-bars, we got our handlebar clamp from Joker, we got all of our Burly lines, throttle cables, clutch cable, extended brake line, extended wiring, and then we got our grips and our speedometer relocator. I'll go ahead and drop links to all of this stuff in the bottom of the description. Stay tuned. Alright, so I got the tank covered, don't want to scratch that. I got the bike up on the lift. You'll notice these little boards. My lift is too tall to get under the bike, so I gotta roll it on top of these boards, slide the lift under, and then prop it up that way. I'm gonna start by taking off this brake cover. Alright, so now we're gonna take off this little rubber cap right here. I'm gonna grab my brake bleeder kit, and then I have a 3/16 wrench to loosen up that. Once I bled that, I had a little left in the reservoir, and go ahead and clean that out here. So now I'm gonna proceed with removing the brake line. So I'm gonna take off this bolt right here, disconnect it from down here, and then the last bolt right here. All right, taking a 1/2 inch wrench. All right, got the middle part moved, and the last one will be this bolt down here. One little attachment over here, holding this brake line back in. It's a T25, and there she is. All right, now I'm gonna start taking off some of these wires. And these just squeeze and pull straight out. All right, so we've got a T27. Gonna start taking off some of these controls. I don't know why I put a 6-inch extension on there. Maybe it was just so I can spin free here. Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Let's go with that. All right, so now we got a T25. So open this up. This should pop right off. Good. Just loosen these up to give me some slack. All right, creating just a little bit of slack to undo these cables. Hopefully not lose this little brass fitting. All right, and throttle cable, the electric wires, and that comes right off. Probably going to be difficult for y'all to see, but there's a snap ring here. All right, so I got that snap ring out. It actually flew out, so I had to go get it. And I'm just going to take out this pin. There we go. Next, I'm just going to pull this little bracket that keeps everything in there. Loosen that up. I'll put this back, and then now I gotta take off the foot peg and then the derby cover to remove the clutch cable. And that should come right out. And take off this little plastic pin. And there's my clutch cable. Hey, bud. Oh! You want to go inside? All right, we got this 9/16 I'll loosen this up here. All right, so clutch cable's off. We're gonna take off these controls. And we're going to take off the handlebar clamp and speedometer portion, and we got a hex bit that is a 1/4 inch, I believe. All right, got that last one off, and move that over, and off come the handlebars. Looking at the difference. Oh yeah. All right, so we got the new clutch cable. We're gonna go ahead and just install this in here, cover this all back up, because I'm probably gonna put a pin in this for the rest of the day and pick up tomorrow. Okay, so we're gonna reassemble this clutch area, and we are looking to push that and going to the left. And once I get that in, I'll do about a 1/4 turn up, and this piece to cover it, and then I'm just gonna have a little bit of this oil around this seal. So then we're gonna torque these down. The specs on these is 90 to 100 inch-pounds. I actually had to go reference my old video from the first time I put this derby cover on to find out what the torque specs were. Lift up the tank to get access to some of these wires so I can unplug the controls and I can unplug the speedometer. Alright, so I got the tank lifted up a little bit. Now all I'm doing is separating some of these plugs. I don't want to let that kind of sit down there, but we've disconnected everything here. I've cut these zip ties. Then we're going to undo some of this housing. Alright, so picking up today, we got the stock speedometer taken apart. We're going to go ahead and take this apart, cut out and retape some of the wiring, and get this ready to go for the relocation. I started to take off this back plate. I got this T10 for this bottom part. Got the speedometer free, the housing unit, and be able to push these two pegs here, this indicator off to put on the new clamp. Then I'm going to take these scissors and start cutting very slowly and carefully, not to cut any wires, but to separate these two. I'm hoping that'll be enough. And I'm going to take that self-adhesive silicone tape that I use in the wire tuck and the tank lift, and I'm going to wrap these wires up, kind of weatherproof them as much as I can. So I got it all wrapped up. I ended up cutting all the stock protector on there just to make it a little thinner, giving me an extra coat of electrical tape around here just to kind of make these rubber gaskets a little bit more snug and weatherproof. And I'm going to take the joker clamp and the indicators. Make sure that's right side up. Drop that in here, and then make sure we got a top arrow and drop that in right in between, and take those same little screws and screw those in. So as I prep to run the wires internally through the new handlebars, I'm going to take this fishing line, tie it here, then tape it, and then tie the end of the fishing line to these two nuts to kind of feed them down. And then I'm going to spray this little rag down with some WD-40. Feed and pull. Feed and pull. Feed and pull. You can feed one in, and now I'll just tuck that nut back in, let it come right through the middle, and then we're gonna feed this wire back through. Perfect. Got one, got the left side through. I'll go ahead and put this cap on, make sure it's going to be right side up. She's through. Make sure I put the bar and shield up right. Perfect. And I didn't have enough room for both of them to sit without putting a lot of stress on the wires. So what I ended up having to do, and I didn't film it because it was just too painstaking, was I spliced the wires, extended them, and then rewrapped it all. So this will go in under the tank. Oh, fucking tripping. Alright, so we tentatively got the handlebars. I haven't cranked anything down. I'm going to put the headlight there, and I think because I removed the original speedometer, I don't have to put the headlight on right away, or that these won't get in the way of putting the headlight on. So I'm going to check that, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it looks pretty good, especially with nothing right here in the middle. I'm comfortable right here where my hands would be, but I'm not going to torque anything down, but I got it tight enough to where I'm not going to knock it loose or move it off center where I want it. Alright, so we have to extend the control wires. So what we're going to do is cut these two heads off and splice the wires into this extension. It's going to be a little long, but I'm not worried about that. I'd rather have too much length than too little, so I'm just going to leave it the same length as what the extension came in. But I'll go ahead and get going on that. Alright, so I got the first signal, the first control wire is spliced and wrapped, and I'm just going to use a shrink wrap. And then I'll go ahead and tape this around just to kind of protect these wires. Alright, so I kind of dropped the tank, kind of consolidated this, cleaned up everything in here a little bit. I haven't tightened anything down. But this is going to be the speedometer, so I'm going to tentatively mount the speedometer now. And now I got my bracket and a little rubber padding that's going to provide a little extra shock resistance. Alright, just look and see how it's going to look. What angle I want it at. Looks about right. The gasket, let's shift it a little bit. Alright, I tested the clearance on the wires running back under the tank, and I'm going to secure the tank now, and it's at the right angle for the speedometer. So the one thing I have to make sure of is setting your angle here doesn't interfere when you turn. So I had to jack it up. I turned all the way. I do have daylight. When this is turned all the way to the left, there's daylight between the gauge and the fork. So that's the one thing I got to make sure of. But everything else is buttoned up. Now we're going to move on to the grips and putting together the handlebars. Alright, it took me a while to kind of shop around and find some grips that I liked, and so I went with the Kuryakyn. I don't know how to say that. If I'm butchering it, that's fine. But they had really good reviews, they looked comfortable, and so these are the ones I went with. Hopefully I like them. Alright, got my glue in, push that all the way in, got it at the angle I wanted. Next one. Got the clutch line and a little plastic piece. Get that through. And put that clutch line. Snap that in there. And this little metal pin that had the snap ring on, that's going to be fun. That should drop. Straight down. Alright, once I got the snap pin installed, I actually dropped it and spent about 15 minutes looking for it. I can't believe I found it. I checked the tension on the clutch cable. I had to tighten that up down here. Got good spring back, so I'll pull that boot up, and this side, left side, good to go. Hey. Sorry, the brake cable. So it's gonna go copper, bolt, copper. And put one of these. So with the new Burly line, it's completely thin all the way down the brake line, and it doesn't have these little rubber spacers to fit into the holders. So I got free movement here and here, which isn't terrible, but what I'm gonna do is probably cut these off and try and attach them there, just so it's a little more secure. All right, so we got the brake line snug down. Now we're gonna go ahead and add some brake fluid. So I had a lot of issues with the brake bleeder kit again. I had a little bit of help from the wife. She came by and really gave me an extra pair of hands, so we were able to build up some pressure in the brake lever. I got it capped off a little bit. I got the zip tie on the handle. I'll leave it overnight. I did have to turn the handlebars to the left just to level out where this reservoir sat. When the bike was straight up on the lift, the reservoir was slanted like this. We'll check in tomorrow. Hopefully it's ready to go. All right, so here we are the next day. I've let the brake clamp sit. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this zip tie. And oh yeah, got plenty of pressure there in the brake lever. I took her for a ride. I absolutely love the handlebars. I love the grips. I love the speedometer relocation. As always, YouTube, I appreciate you watching. Do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side.